The following is a Today's THV special presentation.
One of the most popular autumn activities is hiking, where you don't have the 100-degree temperatures to contend with as you do during the summertime, and it offers a perfect way to enjoy the fall colors close and up front. We're at the Big Creek Natural Area about 10 miles east of Heber Springs. Come along with us for a true autumn experience. There are two trails you can choose from. The first is a little more than a half mile, and the second covers about 1.5 miles. Big Creek is a 1,105-acre preserve with some impressive 200-foot bluffs overlooking the valley below. Some of the trees are draped with a cousin of Spanish moss, another type of lichen called Frenchman's beard or old man's beard. Now, the advantages during spring and summer along this trail are, of course, the various plant life and wildflower life, and, of course, critter life, such as fence lizards. But the obvious advantage this time of the year are the brilliant fall colors. A free trail guide of Big Creek can be obtained from the Arkansas Natural Heritage Commission in Little Rock, which manages Big Creek and more than 50 such areas around the state. On the shorter trail, you can hike along the creek bed, one of the highlights of this area besides the overlooks. In winter and spring, Big Creek is deep and swift at this point, but in the fall, it's sluggish and filled with vegetation. It's home to about 30 species of fish. That about ends our trek to the Big Creek Natural Area. We hope you find the time to enjoy autumn in the natural state. Near Heber Springs, Chuck Dovish, News Channel 11, Travelin, Arkansas. We're in the woods somewhere near Clarendon, about 2 or 3 miles from the White River, in search of that elusive mallard or greenhead. But heck, we'll settle for a common wood duck or pintail. Oop. I think that was a duck. We went along on a duck hunt upon the invitation of Grady Worden, who, like many duck hunters, has been hunting since he was a small boy, continuing the family tradition.
Well, my grandfather, I started hunting when I was 6 years old, and really it's a tradition in my family, and it's passed down from my grandfather and my father. My brother and I hunt a lot together, so really it's just really part of a tradition in the family.
Of course, probably the most important part about duck hunting is the duck calling.
The first call is like a quack. It's just a real basic call. It goes something like this. Then you have your feed call, which is for ducks feeding, and it's kind of a happy call for them. And then you have what you can call a comeback call. That's just like a regular hen, which you'll hear her go. She'll and then in a lot of competitions, or if the ducks are really far out and you're wanting to turn them back around, you can do a hail call.
The other important factor in duck hunting is the duck decoy. But evidently, on this particular morning, neither the calling or the decoys were attraction enough for the ducks. Near Clarendon, Chuck Dovish, News Channel 11, Travelin, Arkansas. It's been called a fly fisherman's dream, the world-class trout stream known as the Little Red River near Heber Springs. And it's this time of the year that the Cow Shoals area becomes a mecca for catching trophy brown trout.
The habitat's perfect for the spawn. That's what makes it such a fine fishing area, because they congregate here once a year, October through December usually, by the thousands actually. And as you can see up and down the river, people come from all over the country to take advantage of the once a year fishing opportunity. It's really a nationally known area for fly fishermen.
Videographer Brian Worthy and I set out with trout guide Buddy Pate to experience for ourselves the serenity and challenge of the sport of fly fishing.
It's more difficult than bait fishing, which is fishing with live bait. It's more difficult than fishing with what we call crankbaits. It takes more expertise, it's more subtle. I tie my own flies for the most part, And there's really nothing more gratifying than fooling a big trout on a fly that you've tied. I don't know, it's something about being in the water with the fish too. You know, a lot of times the fish will come up and they'll take a feeding station right behind your boot. You're just out here with them. And it's, like I say, it's harder to catch them this way. But, and it's more of an art form. That's what I like about it.
On the Little Red River near Heber Springs, Chuck Dovish, News Channel 11, Travelin, Arkansas. One of the most relaxing and rewarding ways to enjoy Arkansas's autumn is to go on a trout fishing outing. David Capps of Capps Guide Service, based in Yellville, invited us out to catch the big whopper. David Capps guides on the White River from Bull Shoals State Park. Today he had us using the old redworm technique.
What we're trying to do is along the grassy banks on the river right here, as the water comes up, it washes the worms out of the bank, and these fish get patterned out on them. That's what they feed on. This is a little bit late in the season for the redworm, but I think it'll still work. They're kind of fluctuating the water level up and down to a point, and it's making it a little tougher to catch them. We're going to give it a try anyway.
All right.
David has produced technique tapes on catching trophy German brown and rainbow trout on the White River.
The main thing about fishing on the White River is that we really try to get across in these tapes is this water level, how it fluctuates, how it falls out. That determines how these fish feed. It increases the oxygen in the water when the water's coming up, washes food off of the banks, your worms, in this case, what we're trying to simulate, and earlier in the year, the shad.
Did we catch fish? We sure did. Nothing to brag about, but we did. On the White River near Bull Shoals State Park, Chuck Dovish, 11 Action News, Travelin, Arkansas. The sights and sounds of another day in Arkansas's elk country. No, you don't have to go way out west to view these magnificent animals. The majority of elk can be found along the Buffalo National River Wilderness Area and the Gene Rush Buffalo River Wildlife Management Area, where the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation has begun a 5-year habitat enhancement program. It was here where we spotted the big one.
Normally when you try to show somebody something like that, it's pretty difficult. You don't see anything, and we were surprised. Believe it or not, that's the biggest bull elk I've seen on my rounds up here. That was a nice bull.
Elk were native to the Buffalo National River area about a century and a half ago. And 15 years ago, the Game and Fish Commission traded out some Arkansas largemouth bass for Colorado elk. The numbers then were around 112, and now they're up to 400. And that means excellent elk encounters in the natural state.
Oh, sure. This time of the year when the elk are in their breeding season mode, they're very visible, very vocal, and very accessible up here, you know, with the roads around the Buffalo National River. And so it's really easy to drive up here, see the elk, photograph the elk. You know, you need a telephoto lens. You don't need to get very close to them because they can be pretty aggressive this time of the year. But or you can just take your binoculars and watch them.
The mighty elk. They've made their presence known in the natural state, and now it's up to us to give them the sincere welcome and respect they deserve. Along the Buffalo National River Wilderness Area, where the elk roam, with photojournalist Brian Worthy, Chuck Dovish, today's THV, Travelin, Arkansas. If you ever had any doubt about the quality of the state we live in, this story just may change your mind. And what better person to tell it to us than our governor? But not from behind his desk. This story comes to you from the heart of the natural state, the Arkansas River, where Governor Mike Huckabee is also an avid bass fisherman. So let's go on a fishing trip with the Gov. But hold on to your seats. The governor likes to cover a lot of ground or water fast.
You ever try speedboat racing? No, I ought to give that a try sometime.
When we weren't zooming down the river, but actually did stop at a few pristine scenic coves, the conversation centered on the uniqueness of the natural state.
I mean, we have one heck of a place to live, and we keep thinking about that our future is out there somewhere, you know, what other states have. And then wake up one morning and I look around and I say, they don't have this. And it's an industry. Hunting and fishing and our parks, it's an industry, the industry of tourism. And more people today get out and travel and spend tourist dollars than ever. And it's a doggone shame they don't come to the most wonderful state in America to do it.
The natural state could very well become, some people say, the garbage state if we're not careful. And that's what Amendment 2, the Conservation Amendment, is all about.
Well, it really is, and I like to say that we have a choice. We can make Arkansas the treasure chest it always has been, or we can make it a trash dump. And I don't want to see us lose the natural resources.
So sometimes we have to get away from it all to a place like the Arkansas River to appreciate what we have and have sense enough to preserve it for future generations.